It's unclear how the two of them died. The Mexican government announced the deaths and said it's connected to the floating barriers. Texas began constructing the river barriers weeks ago, saying they're trying to discourage people from crossing the river, which can be dangerous. Roughly 1,000 feet of it has been completed. The Texas Department of Public Safety denied that the barrier caused the deaths. The agency said preliminary information suggests one person drowned upstream and floated onto the barriers.
And to create these realistic fakes, criminals only need to access material like photos, audio, and video. Robert says if someone gets into your private photos in your iCloud, that gives all the sampling, all the technology to make hyper-realistic fakes. He added that deepfakes might even affect the upcoming presidential election due to fake videos of candidates.
Coming up, a second-tier English soccer
File recovery and data recovery and File Manager have up to 1.5 million users. Both are from the same developer and feature similar malicious behaviors.
First, on the store, they were showing 1.5 million installations, but no reviews at all, which is weird because usually when users use an application, they like to give review, and there is a proportion of the number of installation that we find in the reviews. And this one, no reviews at all. So we think there were most fake installation to lure user into thinking the applications are legitimate and safe.
According to Prodio, the apps are programmed to launch without users' interaction and to silently exfiltrate sensitive users' data towards various malicious servers based in China. Stolen data include users' contact lists and all connected accounts such as email, social networks, pictures, audio and video contents, real-time user location, network provider, and more.
Finally, there was another behavior, is that once installed the applications, they hide their icons. So users install them, maybe they forget about them. Usually we have on a personal or on a corporate mobile device more than hundreds of applications installed. And so they just hide their icon from the main page to make sure people forget about them and make it harder to delete, because you have to go in the system settings in the application list to delete them.
Joe Biden called into, and it appears spoke on speakerphone, roughly 20 times when Hunter Biden was meeting with foreign investors, foreign businessmen, counterparts essentially in his dealings. So this points to, obviously, what we've all long known, which is that the Biden family's business has been an international influence peddling business that spanned from China to Russia, the Ukraine, and beyond. And it strains credulity to believe that Joe Biden knew nothing about it while he not only called into these meetings, but also attended in person, as Devin Archer testifies to, meals with confabs, essentially, with Hunter Biden's partners, and even in one instance wrote a letter of recommendation to the child for college for one of Hunter Biden's partners. And this is all in Devin Archer's testimony. And this brings us to the other major revelation in the deposition, briefly, which is that a conversation is re-recorded, essentially, by Devin Archer, where he talks about the fact that Burisma executives are feeling the pressure from the Ukrainian prosecutor, and they want that pressure to be relieved. And who does Hunter Biden call, according to Devin Archer, immediately after talking about the need for help from D.C.? Joe Biden. We don't know what the contents of that call is, and that remains one of the issues with probing this, because there seem to have been layers of secrecy around it, just like there were numerous bank accounts through which the profits from this influence peddling flowed. But all of this gets to, what did Joe Biden know? When did he know it? What did he do about it? To what extent did he benefit directly or indirectly? And how does that impact the U.S. national interest and our national security when you're talking about his family's dealings with strategically significant entities within adversarial countries and oftentimes corrupt countries?
And yet we have Democratic Representative Dan Goldman saying that Archer's testimony shows that it's true. They just talked about the weather, and that created what Archer called an illusion of access to Biden, and the illusion being the key word there. Does that take Biden off the hook, would you say?
Well, it doesn't take him off the hook insofar as the business dealings still transpired. The Biden family still traded on Joe's name while he was in office, and by Archer's account and other accounts, having calls with Hunter Biden every single day and popping into Hunter Biden's business meetings. Hunter Biden talks about the fact in the testimony, according to Archer, that his father was coming to Ukraine and they needed to communicate to Burisma essentially the value of that. And Dan Goldman wants to make the case that that testimony is going to be all about creating the illusion that maybe, just maybe, Hunter Biden had some influence on Joe Biden when he said or did things beneficial to Burisma. But I believe that the illusion became reality. And the president has to answer for that, and he has to answer for his dissembling, frankly, about his knowledge of and involvement in his son's business.
By any means, so it could be used to their advantage. The alleged conduct also represents a violation of the solemn obligation of members of our military to defend our country, to safeguard our secrets, and to protect their fellow service members.
The indictment alleges that Zhao received bribes from a Chinese intelligence officer in exchange for disclosing non-public sensitive U.S. military information.
In addition, we charge that Mr. Zhao took photographs of electrical diagrams and blueprints for a radar system located at a U.S. military base in Okinawa, Japan. We also allege that Mr. Zhao transmitted to the intelligence officer working for the People's Republic of China details about the Navy's operational security, including photographs and videos of the interior naval bases located at Tura and St. Clemente Island, which is the Navy's only live-fire facility used for testing military equipment and operations.
In exchange for the information Zhao provided, he was paid about $14,800. This reportedly began in August 2021 and continued through at least May 2023. If he is convicted, Zhao would face up to 20 years in federal prison. And in a separate case, 22-year-old U.S. Navy sailor Jin Chao Wei, or Patrick Wei, was also arrested Wednesday for espionage charges. He was stationed at Naval Base San Diego.
According to our indictment, Wei provided China with photographs of military hardware, including guns, vehicles, and planes. He delivered information about U.S. Marines involved in an upcoming international maritime warfare exercise, and he sold scores of technical and mechanical manuals related to the operation and power structures of amphibious assault ships. Some of the manuals contained information deemed quote-unquote critical technology by the U.S. Navy.
In both cases, the Chinese intelligence officer directed the Navy sailors to hide their conspiracy and destroy evidence of the schemes.
A mobile security company found